listening to WNHHLP 103.5 FM, New Haven's home for community radio. I'm Mubarakah Ibrahim, and this is Mornings with Mubarakah, coming to you live from downtown New Haven, also streaming live on TuneIn Radio and newhavenindependent.org. It is Wednesday morning, and this is your Wednesday morning voice, and we are here in the studio, and it is a beautiful day. I always talk about the weather, but the weather is such a way of shaping your day. Why are you looking at yourself in the mirror in the camera like that?
The right profile. There you go. How y'all doing?
He's silly. Oh. And today we have Shafiq Abdussabur. So Shafiq Abdussabur is lots of things, but today I'm going to say he wants to be introduced as Mr. Mubarakah Ibrahim.
Wow. It wasn't that kind of night.
See, okay. Yeah. This is why on my Facebook page I told y'all I get nervous every time I ask him on my show because I never know what is going to come out of this dude's mouth. Like,
you just said some really, Mr. Ibrahim, trust me.
This is some, this is, so first.
VIP would have to be sold out.
Changing the subject.
Exactly. We're not violating the FCC. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. They say a lot of stuff now.
So,
they say
Shafiq and I have been married for 27 years. We have 4 children that we share, and the only children either of us have. And we are Black. We are Muslim.
Fact. That's a fact. I got no child support coming. Actually, I want to ask for some money back from y'all. Give me some money back.
So we are just having a kind of like a talk back show. Some people asked some questions. So we're going to talk about why you keep looking at yourself.
Just in case somebody want to get a good screenshot. You know, sometimes people take video and then they need to get a good screenshot. Here you go. Wait.
Bruh.
1, 2, 3. That's your screenshot for the day, y'all. Okay. Go.
Okay.
All right.
So the first myth I also like to just dispel about married couples is that
they look like brother and sister. No.
No. Well, that's certainly a myth.
Nope.
The second thing is that they think alike. Me and Shafiq have definitely very different opinions on most things. Yeah,
because I think about saving money and she thinks about spending it. So
that is not always true.
Most definitely always true. But go ahead. That's one idea.
That is not always true. Mm-hmm. So we have different political opinions. We have different financial opinions. We have different I think what we agree
we've got different opinions on when you should wash your hands. Like
what?
When you go to the movies and you buy popcorn and you buy your tickets and you get something to drink and you head off into the movie theater inside of your seating area, you should, before you go there, wash your hands. Why? Because you're about to eat popcorn.
I should tell y'all he's a germaphobe.
So if your response is, I don't need to wash my hands, I washed my hands before I left the house, excuse me, you just touched like 25 things.
So
between
that is
the house
my
door
response.
And this popcorn that we about not to share.
That's my response sometimes because I have a wonderful husband that actually opens doors for me. Yeah. And so I think about that. Like, what did I touch since I washed my hands before I left?
The money. You touch dollar bills. You know where dollar bills come from.
Most of the time
you touch dollar bills.
We order it on our tickets online.
You know where dollar bills come from.
Where does dollar bills come from? Where?
Dollar bills. They come from the strip club. I'm sorry. Listen, they go through it. Bruh. I'm keeping it real.
All dollar bills don't come from the strip club.
Where the rest of them come from? They come from the people that went to the strip club.
Oh,
you touched the dollar bill.
Okay.
I'm just saying. All right, that's a joke, y'all. You said you want me to be a comedian. I'm making people laugh in the morning. So you laughing? Don't try it.
I did not say I wanted you to be a comedian.
Oh, now you don't want me to be a comedian.
No, I said that when you retired, you could probably do a show or
I'm doing a show right now.
Okay. I didn't mean this.
You get nervous.
Joke.
Okay, I'm gonna leave you alone. You get
Yes,
nervous.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get nervous.
What's that short guy that was a comedian? Then his wife was he went on that dude's wife about the Cat Stevens. We having the Cat Stevens moment.
Cat Williams.
Cat Williams.
Cat Williams.
Cat
yeah,
Williams.
Yeah.
Ain't no dude outside gonna jack me up, is it? I'm sorry. I'm a punk. You gonna win immediately because I'm gonna submit. I'm gonna fall right on the ground. Like life alert. Help me! I'm falling. Can't get up. All right, go ahead. I'm not violent. Go ahead. I promise I will not say anything unofficial.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
That I'm not. I'm not gonna say anything to mess up this FCC license.
Okay.
Licensing.
So we had a couple of. So today is a talkback show. So if you've listened to Morning with Mubarakah at any time, you know that talkback means that it's an opportunity for people to ask questions. So the questions may or may not be random. And I had a couple of questions on social media. So
they're asking right now?
No. They asked already, and I read them, and I'm gonna.
So why they not asking right now?
Because I don't have my phone in front of me. Because we're on Instagram Live right there.
Oh.
Hey, Instagram.
Instagram got live? Oh, I'm stuck. Instagram got live channel?
Instagram got live. We on on Instagram. Hey, Instagram. Wave to Instagram. Hey, Insta people.
Hi, Facebook.
Facebook is here.
Instagram Facebook on Instagram.
That's true.
So when you say hi to one, you say hi to the other.
That's true. That is true.
And you do not have permission to sell my face. My face is copywritten. Okay? by my mother. My mother... Because it came out my mother. She copywritten it. So you got to talk to her. Got to talk to her uterus.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the origin.
Okay.
Could you imagine that, though?
What?
If your uterus could copyright all your kids.
And what would you get for that copy?
So let's just say like Beyonce, right? She would be making all this money, and then her mother would turn around and be like, go to someplace that she's get a sponsorship from and say, oh, you owe me half of that. And they'd be like, how? Be like, oh, her image is copywritten. She came out my uterus. How do you even dispute that?
That would actually be pretty good.
Bruh. They'd be like, so where do we send the money to? My pockets. Where? Okay, go ahead. Enough of that. But I'm just saying.
So one of the questions that we got is, what would be your advice to raising a Black Muslim boy today? So that's right up your alley because we have 3 Black Muslim boys.
I would tell him, don't claim a race, don't claim a gender.
What?
Okay? Just put other on everything. Then you be prepared for the future.
What?
So it's be like, what? Don't worry about it. Just put my mother's uterus. I don't know.
He's joking,
I'm
y'all.
joking, y'all, for real. It's like, yo, bro, this dude's wild.
I was going to say, you done lost your mind.
I got some cheap coffee. This is the bootleg coffee. I don't know what in the world is in it. This is that coffee they cool next to the cocaine. This ain't fair trade. This is an unfair trade coffee. It's unfair trade. Okay.
So this is why I don't have him on the show often, y'all.
Bruh, you can dig me up out of my bed in the middle of the night. Go ahead. So what are we asking?
So what would
you
your
have
advice?
a Muslim child.
A Muslim boy.
Muslim boy.
Raising Muslim boys today.
Why a black Muslim boy?
Because she's Black and she's Muslim and she wants advice on how to raise a Black Muslim boy today.
Okay, I'm going to give you the freshest advice I just gave to my 19-year-old yesterday. And we do...
he's showing his age. He's using freshest.
Freshest. What's up, y'all?
Okay.
Dope. Could use dope, but been used too much already. So I'm a bow out of that league for now. But anyway, yeah, Bark is like, oh my God. He's like, oh my God.
All right.
I'm
so
hot.
your advice is
advice to here's official advice to raising young Black Muslim it's American born Muslim. Because it's important to distinguish. Like somebody says, well, I'm raising a young Black Muslim boy, so they might be from a part of Africa, right? So, and their kid might be here, and then they consider, well, my kid is African living in America and considered Black, so but it's a different game of advice to that child than it is to, let's say, you are second or third generation born in America and you got black skinned boy. That's what I would kind of put it at. But if you're talking traditional African American
African from African descended
from slave
slavery.
blood, right? So African from slave blood in America, what I would say is, you know, there's no like instant advice for young kids, period. So any young boy, black, white, Hispanic, Latino, Jewish, Arab, African, you don't instantly wake up and go, "Oh my God, you're 13, you had a wet dream, and here's some advice for you." The advice begins. It doesn't work like that. You actually have to start rolling out information to your child, to your male child, very early on. And in my opinion, it starts really like when they're about 5. I'm going to say about 4, but really kind of like 5, so that by the time you get them to 13, when you give them advice, it sticks. So think of it as if think of it as if you had a handful of marbles, and you're going to throw those handful of marbles up in the air, and you need a cup to catch them. But in order to get the cup bigger and bigger, you got to have to start off with a smaller cup, and you got to catch some marbles. So over time, your you figure your cup would get bigger, and it doesn't matter how many marbles you throw up, you increase your chances of catching all those marbles. That's the advice. But if you were just to say, "Hey, go outside with a little cup and catch 1,000 marbles," you're not going to get 1,000 marble cut. So the point is, you got to start creating a foundation. You got to put layers, with your young black male, young Muslim male early on, so that when they get to 13, 14, 15, 16, you can start adding layers. Now, here's the challenge.
So why 13? What's
Because like 13, having worked with boys, particularly and high risk boys, I think that all boys, personally, my philosophy has always been all all youth, and particularly boys in America, are, and people call it high risk. People say, "Oh no, if you're a young white male and you grew up in, I don't know, Fairfield County, and your parents are rich, you're not gonna, you're not high risk because you're not gonna get, shot on the corner or arrested by the police or not all." But 2006, when I started the youth program, CT Rabat, and I, put out articles, I would say, "Hey, listen, if you have 300 kids in a room at a party and one kid comes in there with a gun, all those kids are now high risk because they're all at risk of being exposed to gun violence, having to make a decision around maybe gun use, or and all of the things that trickle down from that." And then we can see now, you fast forward in 2019, you've got, you know, opioid epidemic in the white community. You've got gun violence still persistent in the African American community. You still have uh, disruptive police community relations in the African American community. You still have high teenage pregnancy. You have high STD rates for young people. So everybody's exposed to that. So 13 is kind of like the switch for most all boys, like 13, 14. They're going to hit that age where they're still a child, but kind of becoming a young man, wanting to aspire to try to move into some of the things that older teenage boys do, maybe smoke weed, or, have sex, or, you know, do risky things like, I'm going to stay out past my curfew, which is now they got to formulate lie patterns. I'm going to lie, what the lie is going to be. Getting in cars with somebody that maybe that, hey, like I always say, if you get in a car and your friend says, "Come on and get in," and you know you don't have a license, and you know there's a screwdriver sticking inside of the the steering wheel, that's a clue, right? But do you say to your friend, "No, I'm not getting in the stolen car," because why? You're not going to do that. You're going to probably get in the car. You can get in the back seat. So 13 is what I see is to be the age. Okay, so you're black male, you're Muslim. You got to give your kid 2 levels of advice, which actually is going to turn into 3 levels of advice because now you've got to advise them as a Muslim, then you've got to give them advice as a black male, and then if they're depending on how they've been raised as a Muslim and how well they've been in tune with their African American heritage and culture, they could be like when with one of our older son, he was like one day I said something to him, he was like, "I'm not black, I'm Arab," and I looked at him like, "Really? Beep beep, really?" Because I can't say the word beep. I mean, so I'm like, dude, you black, okay? You black and you a Negro. Now I'm being nice about it on the radio because I don't want you to lose your FCC, and I don't want to get whatever. I got Twitter. I don't want nobody out twit me. So, but I got a black son who looked just like me, who grew up in America. We're talking about he Arab, bro. You Muslim, okay, which is your way of life and your religion. Arab, being Arab is some people say it's a race, and then some people say it's a nationality, right? So whatever it is, you ain't that, but you are Muslim, right? And Islam predates Saudi Arabia, right? It goes Islam goes back to Africa, bro, Timbuktu and so forth. So I had to kind of give him that education. So one advice is you got to educate. I think it's important that the best black Muslim male is the intelligent, educated Muslim male. Not just about Machiavellian knowledge, but you got to give them well-rounded knowledge. So I think that it's my philosophy. A black man in America needs to be more educated about the affairs that took place in America than, let's just say, their white counterpart or their Hispanic Latino counterpart. One thing that we do in America is that growing up black, I'm 52, everybody teaches you about slavery. And then they teach you other important things about being black, like slavery. And then, often to get you motivated so you can go to the next level because of your past, they further teach you about slavery, right? So black people are well versed on slavery. If you don't know anything about being black in America, you know that you an ex-slave.
Exactly.
There's nothing confusing, and it's like, bro, you an ex-slave. Why you so upset? Why you mad?
Because you free now.
So we and then us and then the black people around us say you say, hey, listen, I'm trying to move to the next level. I'm trying to elevate myself. I'm trying to do well. Do you know about your slave? Do you know about what happened? So here's my point. We live in a silo as black people in America. We get stuck on slavery. We get stuck on, still singing Negro spiritual hymns, which is from slavery. We get stuck on the I guess you would say celebrating old heroes and legends and our ancestors, which normally start at slavery. We don't learn about Italian history in America. We don't learn about Irish history in America, or the history of Irish, the history of Italians, the history of Jews, the history of Scottish, the history of British, the history of those individuals who often have white skin. Our knowledge of them go to the Civil War, the American War, American Civil Revolution, and then we fast forward to Civil Rights Movement, and then we kind of get into where we are now. So it's imperative, in my opinion, that a young black male know about the history of these other cultures that they're living alongside, so that you can better understand, how things are working in a sequence.
So here's my question. Um, what is the obviously, as you said, black people are well versed on what happens in slavery. How important do you think it is for young black men to know about pre-slavery? And is this history of other cultures, do you mean uh, since America was established, or they should know about the history of those cultures?
So I think it's important. So here's an important thing. I grew up in New Haven. I still live in New Haven. My grandparents all came here from the South: Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina. I tracked it on Ancestry.com. $65.95. Okay, that's what you got to
What's
pay.
60? Oh.
$65.95. Put your spit in the thing, and they send it back. Tell you who you are, where you're from. It's like Hot 93.7. Hot 93.7. Tell us why you're mad. Where you spit from? 46% is from that. Yeah. So anyway, so growing up in New Haven, you know what you know. My parents were struggling or whatever. I grew up in the projects. So a lot of New Haven people, like a lot of black people across other metros and around the country. It's like, yo, where you from? Oh, I'm from Bed-Stuy. The whatever projects. Where you from? I'm from so and so housing development. I'm from so and so. So the origin of like modern day black people really is you are second or third generation from the projects, and you survived the projects. Like, yo, I survived the project, yo. It's like, look at me now. I'm driving in a Kia. I don't know what you talking about. So part of that is because that's where our history is: slavery, oppression,
So my question
inequality
was
here.
pre-slavery information.
Right. So my point is, you're stuck on that, and then there is no education that is really being pushed by black people too, or anybody else for African Americans to connect with before they hit the shore. So for years it was like Egypt, and everybody was all into the Egyptology thing and gold, and people was like, ooh, black people, they must be from Egypt. We know we from Egypt because we love gold. Gold bangles, gold rings, gold chains, gold teeth, gold fronts, right? Go mind your business. No. Right? So, we were all infatuated with, ooh, let's take the shiniest, most prosperous, most fascinating place. And that's where black people are from. Well, black people are from, we are from Africa. Black people are from Africa, people. Here's a wake-up call. Just a wake-up call. And I don't want to disappoint your morning and maybe watch this at night, maybe in your car, I don't know. But here's a disappointing thing. Okay. If you are black and you live in Russia, you black Russian, and not to drink. If you are black and you live in Germany, if you are black and you live in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, France, Britain, London, Jamaica, Trinidad, Venezuela. If you are black, you live in Connecticut, Alaska. Here's a wake-up call. You from Africa. You are from Africa. Africa, the continent where all the other black people are there right now. That's where you're from. You don't even have to guess where you're from. That's where you're from.
So where is the so how important is that though for raising young black males, or do you think that it's even necessary?
So, somebody asked me that it's like, who am I? I said, listen, I am not African. I am an African in America. I'm a modern day African living in America. I'm of African descent, but I'm an American. I'm a full-blooded American. Listen, I ain't trying to go to Africa, and I already told you that. It's keeping it real. I ain't trying to go to Africa. They got flies that bite you and lay eggs on you.
Shafiq.
That's real. That's real. About fly. People, I try to make it up.
You don't even want to go to visit?
Hands up, don't shoot. I don't want to visit where the fly gonna bite me and lay lava on me.
You do you want to go visit Africa?
So I was with two gentlemen. So I'll tell you the story. Me, Mike Moran, a good friend of mine from Yale. So Mike had two gentlemen, I believe they were from Nigeria. I think they was from Ghana. They were from Ghana. I'm sorry, they were from Ghana. Two Ghana. One young man was a doctor, one was something else visiting here. So I ran into Mike at the coffee shop. Then we got in the truck, drove around neighborhood, met some people, and started talking about Africa and different stuff. And they was asking me, "You been to Africa?" I said, "No, I've not been to Africa, but I have the accent if I want to use it, right?" But I had not been to Africa. I said, "No, I've not been to Africa." They said, "Well, you got to go to Africa. You got to go to Ghana. You got to go to this. You got to go to that." And I said, "I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. I'm still looking at it, right?"
Do you know that this year is the year of return?
No, but let me just finish my statement. So we go to, apparently there's an African food market that I didn't know. Mike goes, "Hey, let's go to the African food market." I'm like, "Where's that at?" He's like, "Oh, it's It's right on Dixon. I'm like, dude, I'm from New Haven. I live here. I don't even know this
So,
African
side
market.
note for anybody who's listening that don't know, Mike Moran is white.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, he's
Yes.
my friend, so I didn't put a color on him. You
So
know,
I think
how you put a color
it
on
put
friendship?
it puts a
Yeah.
different perspective as you telling the story.
Yeah, okay.
So
So
Mike Moran
now
is
y'all
right.
know who I am. I'm obviously colorblind because I don't put a color on friendship. Fred is my man. So anyway, yes, he got gold, nice golden hair. Nice dude, right? Not my man. Right. So so it's Mike, white guy, golden hair, my friend, right? That Mubarakah pointed out, that's white. Okay. And then these two African dudes that I don't know, they're not my friend because they just with him, they more like his friend, and I'm just being like his friend working with him. Okay. So we all go into this African shop on Dixwell Avenue, right over the town line in Hamden. And there's a Nigerian sister there. She I don't know, she Muslim, but she Nigerian. She's like real Nigerian, like all the colors on. They got all the material. They got things in there like cow foot and some other feet to some other animals that I could not figure out. But I don't eat that. So I knew right then and there, I'm not African. If this the African market, like 90% of the stuff in here, I'm not eating, even the stuff in the cans. And it was in English. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm good. It's like something like, okay, that's rice. They have 5 different rices. I don't need the rice. I'm good. I got rice. I got plenty. I got basmati. I know that's from India, and I know I'm not Indian, but let me tell you something. India make the best rice. Love y'all. Namaste. So check it out. So now I'm inside of the African market, and the sister, they're like, "Oh, how you doing?" It's like good. And they're looking for some peanuts and some other stuff that they wanted to drink. And we get this. So I bought the stuff for them, and he was like, "You want this?" I was like, "Yeah, I tried this drink." And they was like, "Oh, this is so delicious." And I'm like, "Okay." So then the lady said, "And where are you from?" So the guy said, "Oh, I am from Ghana." And she said, "Where are you? Are you Igbo?" He said, "Yeah, we'll do that." So they did some stuff like that. So they asked her, they said, "And where are you from?" She said, "I am from Africa." No, Sherlock. They said, "But where are you from in Africa?" She said, "I am from Africa. I'm your African sister." No kidding. I was like, "Oh, she being coy." Y'all, that's an American. That means slick. But anyway, so she was like, "I am your sister." So they said, "Where are you from?" She said, "I am from." They said, finally she said Nigeria. I was like, boom. Mm-hmm. I ain't from Africa, but I know the difference between Nigeria and Ghana. And I can say that because I got some Nigerian blood in me too, and Ghana blood. So, bro, like black people saying the N word, I can say that.
Just 1 minute. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to 103.5 FM, New Haven's home for community radio. I'm Mubarakah Ibrahim, and this is Mornings with Mubarakah on WNHHLP 103.5, also streaming live on TuneIn Radio and NewHavenIndependent.org. And we are having a talkback show with Shafiq Abdussabur, who is telling us about
Africa, but I'm in New Haven.
experience
But I'm in New Haven. I'm
in the
talking about
African
to
market.
Africa, but I'm definitely in New Haven.
Okay, so the woman admitted she was from
So
Nigeria.
she admitted from Nigeria. So I was like, I already saw that with some heat between her being Nigerian and them being Ghana. You could just see like the separation happening in the room. So then she looked at me and they said, "And where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Africa, but I'm a modern day African in America." Okay. Now, I ain't trying to go back. So they was like, ooh. Then they started telling me you have to go to Africa. I said, okay. They said, yes. And when you go to Africa, you got to get the bush meat. You got to eat the bush meat. I said, look, man, I ain't trying to eat 90% of the stuff in the store that's wrapped up. Okay. And obviously got here some kind of way. I don't know. In the trailer, a Connex trailer or something like that. I don't know how it got here, but it's here. Okay. So I can see it's food in the market. It's wrapped up. It's for sale, and I'm not buying this. I'm good. I'm going. I got the drink. Tastes like ginger ale and something else. I don't know. But now you want me to eat some bush meat. Now I just watched like 5 documentaries. You know I'm a YouTube junkie on bush meat, bro. You know what? So for the people that don't know what bush meat is, everybody in America got green space, and so for the people that don't know what green space is, that's like a park, your local park. Like for New Haven, it'd be like Edgewood Park or East Rock Park, or New York, it'd be like Central Park. So you get the idea what I'm talking about. So imagine if you went out there at night and whatever you saw running around, you trapped it. and you kept it in the morning and you killed it and you ate it. That's bushmeat. Rat, whatever nocturnal animal that's. So they tell me I need to go to Africa to catch some rodents? Bro, I ain't eating that. This is to eat the bushmeat. I'm not eating bushmeat. That tells me that I'm not African. I'm African, but I'm in modern day America. I'm gonna eat some meat.
It's just a cultural difference, Shafiq.
They got meat. Listen, they got meat stores in Africa.
Remember when I started off the show and I said couples do not always think alike. We have very different views on our African brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna take the high road. So here's what I'm gonna say to you, because you want to be down with that.
I don't want to eat bush meat, but I'm not going to talk about it.
When we go to Africa, are you going to eat bush meat?
I just told you I don't want to eat bush meat, but if that's their culture, then that's their culture. To them, it's fine.
So if they say to you, Sister Mubarakah, we make you some really nice food, right? You say, what is it? And you say,
just don't ask what it is.
Bush meat.
See if it tastes good.
I'ma know, because if I go to a little village and ain't nothing around. Okay, and I hunt, and I process meat myself. So if I don't see like what appears to be like a lot of flies moving in the area, because that would let me know that they, work with the animals. Listen, my first thing is like, where did you get this? I'm looking for electricity poles. If there's no electricity, if there's not a 220 volt running to the house, and I don't see a generator, that means no electricity. If there's no electricity, that means they just kill that meat. If they just kill it, I need to know where it came from. I'm real. I'm not like that lady from that London black lady that went around in Africa looking at all the women villages and they was just giving her stuff to drink when she showed up. I'm not drinking that. You know that. I'm just not drinking that. So listen, don't get me wrong. I don't want people to be mad at me.
Let me fix my face, because I'm like, does he realize that we are on public radio?
Yes, I do realize the public radio. And let me tell you something. Like I said,
fix my face.
So for the people that want to know, I'm not the fake black dude. Okay, I did the DNA thing, and they told me that I am. It came back to 84% African, 46% Bantu African. So for people that want to know your history, Bantu African blood is the original blood of the entire planet. So we can just get all that dispelled, right? So 46% of the original blood in my body, my DNA, is what has populated the entire civilization of this entire world. So I'm everybody's like basically daddy to a degree. Okay, unless you got the same blood I got, then we co-parenting at a worldwide level. So I'm officially African. Then on top of that, okay, there's another percentage of Mali, Ghana, and Nigeria, and a little bit of Benin, Togo. So people say, "Oh wow,
Benin and Togo."
Benin and Togo. I am very sorry, but I just been speaking this language, my ancestors, for only 200 years in English. In fact, less than that. Right? So what I'm saying to y'all is I'm African. I'm also 8% Irish. And I'm also 4% like German and something 1% Scandinavian. So I got some white folks in me too. All right? And I love them because I love white people. So with all that being said, the brother said, are you going to Africa? I said, yes, I'm thinking about going to Africa. We planning on it. I actually want to go to, I believe it's Lagos in Nigeria. They just built a really nice Palm Island.
He would go to the Africa where all the money at.
Yeah. So they said, no. That's not the Africa.
He don't want to connect with his people. He just want to go where the money at.
They said, no. This is not the Africa. You need to go to the village. You need to go to the village. I said, the village? What village? They said, you need to go to the village. I said, until you can eat the bushmeat. I said, why would I go all the way to the village and eat some bushmeat when y'all spend all of that energy building that nice city on the coast? First of all, it's closer, so I save on fossil fuels, right? Because I'm energy efficient, a mindset. And that's number one. And number two, I can get a better view of the sea. That's where I'm at with Africa. I love African people because I am African. It's in my blood, right? But what I'm saying to the people that say, hey, listen, you got black boys, you got to put stuff in perspective, because here's why. This is the debate me and you have. If I show up in Ghana and say, well, surprise, I'm back home, what am I going to get? I got to learn that culture. I'm an outsider. I'm really an American.
You're going to get some bushmeat.
Bro, And I'm not saying bushmeat is bad because I never had it. I seen it, so I know it's basically a rodent. I mean, it could be a lot of. I thought it was a particular thing like that. What is like that big rat thing? Da rata. It is a saying in Spanish. Da rata. I thought it was like the big rata, but then I watched another documentary and it was like, no, no, no. The bushmeat is whatever you catch in the night. Really? I'm good. I'm good because whatever you catching at night, supposed to be sleeping today. It ain't supposed to be in your stomach. You know what I'm saying? That's just wrong. You know, it's like
but you're a hunter. How would you?
Hey, listen. Most all meat that is hunted for consumption is hunted during the day. Think about that. Think about that. Imagine somebody saying, "Yo, you ready? You see them? They right there in the middle of the field. No, 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 not the wolf, the cows. Imagine that. You hunting cows at night. You sneaking up on a cow at night. Imagine that. Just imagine that. Yo, you see it? It's running. Imagine hunting the pigs at night, not the wild pigs, the regular pigs people eat. Imagine hunting chickens at night.
They're all farmed animals, though.
But they all, at night, they sleep. And then in the day, while visibly alert woke, people go and slaughter them and process them. Like the cow's like, good morning. And you like, do you see the cow? You'd be like, good morning, cow. Cow be like, moo. Be like, yep, it's 8 o'clock. All right, you guys ready? I'm going to start this up. Let me put my coffee down. And it's like 9 o'clock and the cow's getting slaughtered. Imagine that.
Okay.
It's like waking up in the morning. It's like, what would you like for breakfast this morning? Oh, I like to have this. Okay.
How do we get on slaughtering cows from advice to young Muslim men?
You're right. But so here's what I was saying. It is important that you make sure that your black male is well versed in the history of America. Everybody's history. Everybody's history.
How does it benefit them to know Italian history, German history, the history of these people in America?
Because when you're in a room, I'm going to use my son, for instance. My son is in a school in Maine. There's roughly 500 students. He called me the other day. We talked, and he's been in school for about 3 weeks. This is his second year because he transferred to the school. I said to him, so how's school? He goes, well, I'm having a hard time making friends right now. And I said, well, you've only been in school for like 2 weeks. And he says, yeah, but, I'm just, it's going to take some time. I said, you got to adjust. I said, so how many black people are in the school? He's like, well, it's me and there's 3 other black girls. I said, okay. I said, how many blacks? No, he starts, and there's a professor, and the professor's from Africa, and he starts going through. I said, how many black students? He said, oh, it's just me and the 3 other girls. I said, okay. I said, now you're being silly. How many black boys are in the school? He said, I'm the only one. I said, okay, here's the deal. So understand this. You may not want to, but everything that comes out of your mouth represents black people. You may not want to, but every time they ask you an opinion about black people, you're going to be giving, when they ask you an opinion about yourself, you're going to be giving an opinion on behalf of black people. You didn't want to sign up for this, but this is just where you are right now. So it's very important that when you're talking to these people, that you understand how they may never have engaged with African American. They may never have had this close quarter contact with African American and get to know black people on these levels. And you're going to shape their outlook on how they create African American or black relationships with other black men and some other black people moving out of here from college, right? So that's my advice to him. But this is what I also told him. I said, you're at a predominantly white school. Things are going to get racial sometimes. Things are going to get kind of Islamophobic, which a term that I kind of partially agree with, but because, if you're discriminating against somebody for their religion, I consider you kind of like technically you're racist, but whatever. So I told him, I said, this is our code. Y'all can share this code. I said, here's the deal. When you in the environment and you a black Muslim male and the environment get racial, switch over to your Islam. When you in a environment and you a black Muslim and things are getting like Islamophobic, switch over to your black male. So when you in an environment today, which is 9/11, and God bless all those who was impacted by it, that tragic event, right? So here's the deal: you in an environment, somebody go, oh yeah, the towers was knocked down by those dirty Muslims that look, I hate all Muslims, and no disrespect to you. I know you're Muslim, but that's your people. Blah 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 blah. So now everybody's coming at you about this Islam stuff. Say, look, hey, listen. There's been tragedies throughout all of America that we can all be impacted by. The Jews Holocaust, the diaspora in Africa, all the black people that was hung during the 1889 of the anti-lynching campaign, which was actually not ended until Clinton signed the bill in Congress in 2006. Boom. Ain't nobody gonna argue with you about that, because that's the issue. You bring it back to the base, right? And then if somebody come on you about, oh, the Mike Brown and black people need to get this off together, and why they always argue with the cops and this and that, black men and this and black men and that and all this black men and stuff, they need to bring themselves up. And you just flip over and be like, you know what? All people in America need to rise to a certain occasion, because it's by a spiritual level of people trying to look inside themselves, and everybody
So this is a whole nother level of code switching.
Yes. Yes, okay. It is.
All right.
because
I'm learning something, y'all.
Because
I'm learning.
Because one thing about,
I'm not always privy to his conversations with our kids. So
because here's
the
deal. One thing about living in America and being a black male is it sometimes is it's a burden. So you a black male in America, you start off with, you got to prove to everybody that you're something that you're not. So by the time you finish doing that, every day you're doing that. So if my day is, I want to wake up and today I want to take 2 steps forward, before I can take 2 steps forward, I got to first get up and make up for the 5 steps that everybody feels that who we are and we're about. Maybe by the time you get to the point where you can take the 2 steps, it's 5 o'clock. You're tired. And you're like, okay, if I could just hold on for another 2-3 hours and do this other thing, I could be 1 step ahead. But when you wake up again tomorrow, you're still going to be 5 to 4. It depends on what's happening in the world. Cop gets shot by a black man, you behind. Something else go down, you behind. Somebody, black actor does something crazy, you're behind. So what you have to wind up doing is you've got to constantly set a bar for yourself so that you can be able to switch out those roles so that you don't get stuck, or else you get stuck on that. Some days you just have to wake up and be like, that ain't my issue. I'm Muslim. So today, I start off 2 steps ahead, and I'm going to move, because the goal is to get ahead. So you just get ahead. I'll take 5 steps ahead as a Muslim. That'll make me, if I take 5 steps ahead as a black Muslim, understand my philosophy. If I wake up every morning, I'm 5 steps behind because I'm a black man carrying that burden. And then I wake up in the morning and I just start off being Muslim. And a black Muslim, which nobody has really identified the anomalies yet, I could get 5 steps ahead in a day. 5 steps ahead a day for me as a black Muslim male is actually 10 steps ahead on the black male. Because the black male's stuck. And black males gonna stay stuck because the mechanisms are there to stick them. Don't forget you were a slave. Don't forget you're dangerous. Don't forget you ain't worth nothing. Don't forget you guys don't love your wives. You don't take care of your kids. Don't forget you're going to be broke in the future. So there's all these don't forgets. So you like, man, I got to just deal with a plate of don't forgets. And then all of this stuff, no disrespect to the entertainers, but the entertainment world got people sucked up. So if you can start off as a black Muslim male, there's no history for black Muslim males. We are writing that history now. Our boys are writing that history. Black Muslim males look like this. Young black Muslim males look like Sheikh Hamza, Abdul Malik, right? That's what they look like. So, black Muslim males look like the new basketball players and football players that are out there. No scandal, no baggage, they're just doing their thing. So as a result of that, and then there's others. I don't know everybody, but there's others that's out there doing their thing. So as a result of that, it's like nothing sticks to them right now. There's no traps. They're bypassing all of that. So I believe that, if it's done right, as things are happening, we may see, I'll call it the Mandela effect. Mandela was not Muslim. He obviously was African. But when Mandela became president of South Africa, installed in his cabinet were a lot of Muslims and a lot of Muslim men. actually installed in his cabinet that were actually responsible for revising and running the country. So I think, African American Muslim males, if properly raised and given advice, will become a vital asset for the stability of American culture. Why? Because they won't get stuck up on race. They won't get stuck up on culture. They'll be focused on the achievement. And that's what we need. We need achievement. They just did a story the other day. The guy wrote a book I bought. I can't remember the name of it. Um, I wish I did, but I don't right now. But basically, it's a book on economics. And what he was saying is that we went a time in America, like for the last 15 years, where we did not invest in proper education of people in America and creativity and the things around getting businesses from the ground up. And now we're stuck because the world is moving forward and we don't have all of those creative minds. We say we do, but we really don't. We got people in tech companies putting together wires and all this stuff and writing code. And that's great. That's important, but that's not what the kind of stuff we need.
So we got about a minute left of the show. What's your 30-second advice of what people can do right now? Something practical that they can do with their kids this day, today, or this week that's going to help their kids grow into strong Muslim males?
So, first thing I would say is create a library for your children. Buy books. Buy books. Encourage your kids to read books. Read the books yourself in some cases, especially if you got a young black male. You know what I did with my son? I read a book. I think what is the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Mm-hmm. I love that book.
By Stephen Covey.
Right, Weston. So I read that book myself first, and then I bought a copy for my 18-year-old, and I was like, this book, and you kind of like hype it up to show them how this book is functional. But for your younger kids, you got to buy books. You should be buying books on Black history, on all types of books that, as the things that they engage in life, they would have that as resource. Stuff on Indians and all this different stuff. So that's number one. Number two, you got to put in effort with your kid. Your kid got to be like, I don't have Facebook, but your kid, the time you put in with your kid got to be like the time people put in with their Facebook page. You got to check in with your kid every day and see what's on their mind and talk to them and hear the issues and be a good listener. Don't interrupt them when they're talking.
I'm interrupting him because we're at the end of the show. Yeah. And if you've been listening to Mornings with Mubarakah on 103.5 FM, New Haven's home for community radio. You can find this and all of the shows podcasted on iTunes, SoundCloud, and TuneIn Radio. Until next week, go about your week to be a voice and not an echo.